Hi, Ben-Anthony. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, James, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Likewise. I'm excited for this conversation. You've got some, pretty a unique spin on the whole talent development side. So it'd be interesting to dive into that. But first, what was the impetus behind starting MyDevConnect, and how did your background influence that decision?
So probably, I think it was like summer of 2023. Myself and a friend had been working on just a bunch of different projects together, apps, startups, and we kind of fell upon this idea and realized this would actually be super valuable to even us, and we kind of wished we had it. Uh, so we started working on it. It was towards the end of 2023. Unfortunately, he decided to go in a different direction. And around the same time, I happened to literally bump into one of my now co-founders in a shop, of all places. Started talking about something completely random, and it turns out he was doing the exact same thing, or trying to, at the same time as us. And he just had a completely different background, completely different set of resources and skills, and it was a no-brainer, obviously. So that's kind of how it kind of kicked off. And then the same thing happened. He introduced us to our third co-founder now, and it's just been the same thing from there. So all very casual conversations, but all stemming from kind of being in the space before and realizing how amazing it would be to have access to like flexible, skilled global talent. So that was kind of the birth of everything.
Funny. So you met your co-founder like what? Just doing your weekly shop at Tesco and just just
Basically,
got talking.
basically, I think the conversation wasn't even about anything to do with work. I think it took us like 2 months of hanging out before we started talking about this idea. I think it was like motorbikes and different random things. So you
Okay.
never know what's going to happen. It's always interesting bumping into a stranger.
Yeah. Nice. Really cool. And then, so tell me a little bit about the unique model around MyDevConnect, because it spans both project delivery and talent sourcing, and what motivated you to sort of combine those two, and with the approach that you take.
It's a good question. We started kind of. I think the way we started the whole thing was purely to resolve that HR side, and staffing side, and we weren't really that focused on the project side initially. Um, but all three of us had so much experience in actually working on projects ourselves, and some of us had different skills building teams and leading them, and actually working on the tech. That a few projects kind of fell into our lap, and we realized that it was a great thing for us to be able to do as well, because we suddenly had the manpower of a global talent pool, which we had been building for a completely different purpose. We could throw at projects, but I think even before we got to that point, I think we got a few months in and we started working on our own internal tools and our internal platforms, and that's kind of what kicked off the idea of, okay, well, maybe we can take on some project delivery work. We're doing it for ourselves already. Why not provide it to everyone else?
Yeah. Interesting. And your talent is a lot of it is in Africa, right? It's
Yeah.
in Africa. What tell me a little bit about like what that scene's like. The benefits and all that.
So we work with quite a few countries in Africa. We're also not limited to Africa. We work across Europe. We have a couple of roles in the US. We have some in Ireland, the UK. So we've kind of been all over. Um, but we typically work with South Africa, Morocco, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, and then there's always a few. That's kind of where our main teams are based. There's a few other countries like Tunisia and all of that as well. But I think the benefit is there's a lot of founders, and there's a lot of focus from universities and organizations in Africa at the moment on really training up young people to get into this kind of line of work, engineering and so on. And the innovation coming out of there is phenomenal. And so I think that was one of the reasons we kind of looked at Africa. The other reason as well is one of my co-founders is actually based there, and he was the one who brought a lot of the network that he had to the table. So it was kind of a no-brainer there as well to kind of be able to connect with engineers. He was well connected into the universities and colleges and so on. So that's kind of why we went down that route.
Interesting. So it's like it's an emerging geography for acquiring talent because of the investment and stuff behind education and universities and that sort of thing. That it's just becoming an emerging place for picking up tech talent.
Yeah, completely. There's one guy I speak to the odd time, but the stuff he's doing on hardware and everything and ML, like he's doing, and he'll know who if he's listening, if he's going to listen to this now, he'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But the stuff he's doing, just even on simple limited resources like Raspberry Pis and so on. The ML work and AI work he's doing on those is phenomenal. So I think there's a lot of drive with everyone over there, and they're great people to work with. Everyone's really cool. So
yeah, awesome. Tell me some. So like in your journey so far, and it's still a pretty new startup that you're sort of finding your way when it comes to like product market fit and value proposition and all that good stuff. Tell me some of the challenges that you've had, in your journey so far.
Challenges. Oh, okay. I think there's probably a couple of ways of looking at it. Every day is a little bit of a challenge, but I'd say one of the main challenges, especially that I faced, is kind of finding the balance between kind of old or traditional sales and modern age sales. And what I mean by that is obviously traditional sales would be channels like getting in your car and driving to an office and trying to get a meeting with someone, or picking up the phone, which is still a little bit more modern, but it's the same thing. And then suddenly mixing in all of these crazy high volume games like mass emailing and SMS and LinkedIn and all of these things. So I think that's been a big challenge, understanding how much to mix those two together, which ones to prioritize and which ones not to. And I think the difficulty on that has been around understanding what the payoff is. It's very hard. It's very hard to kind of, without any data before you start, to go, okay, we'll just do this and we know it's going to work, because you don't. You kind of have to suffer for a few months and try everything, and then get the data back and realize, okay, well, maybe this is the best way to do this. This is the other way. Cold calls are good. Emails maybe not so good. LinkedIn's great. And then kind of merge that into a whole strategy. So if you're looking at that, I think that's been one of the biggest things personally as well. Other challenges is just the daily challenges of leading a team and kind of dealing with all of that. A lot of people every day. So sleep is always a challenge.
Yeah, interesting. So it's so when it comes to client acquisition marketing that you were talking about there, you kind of go tactics first, like find what works, find the mix of things that work, and then sort of develop a strategy once you just really get your hands dirty and gain traction from certain channels. Some don't, some do, and it's kind of that. Is that the approach?
Yeah, I think our approach, I'm very lucky to be around people who kind of share the same approach with me, is none of us are really too emotionally attached to any outcome, because I think we've all grown through that phase where you're young, you're working on a product and it has to be the perfect way. And you need to get it, it's not about customers, it's not about anything, it's just about having this perfect UI or perfect something. So I think all of us share that understanding that if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. And what it's created in terms of culture with us, is kind of we throw, and I excuse my language, let me see how to say this. We throw stuff at the wall. We throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. So
Yeah.
that's kind of our whole strategy. And it allows us to move on quite quickly from things. It allows us to kind of go in, no emotion, take on a new idea and put a timeline against it, be very kind of logical about things. And then we have certain performance or KPIs that we want to hit while testing this out. And then we kind of look at everything after a couple of weeks or whatever the timeline is on it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We move on. New idea, new thing. And it doesn't matter who came up with the idea. It's not personal. It's not anything. Everyone's quite understanding. They go, okay, that's it. If it's not working, it's not working.
Yeah. What has kind of been working well for you in terms of marketing, sales right now, like customer acquisition?
So obviously the old, I think the best one always is old school, traditional, and going for partnerships, and obviously going through your own network, and that's always the easiest way. It's always the best way. It's always the nicest way to do things as well. I think we right now what we're doing is a mixture of that and calling, and it's not untargeted cold calling at high volumes. We don't really like the high volume game. It's not personal enough. We don't understand the prospective client enough. They don't understand why we're calling them or reaching out to them, and it's not a nice feeling for anyone. So we kind of focus on people that we know we would love to work with, and we reach out to them and try and develop business that way. So it's done through cold calls, and then the other one is always, and I forget the word for it. I think it's cronyism. It's like nepotism, but the through friends. And
Okay.
I think basically my opinion is the world has always kind of run on that, and it's very hard. I was kind of against it for a long time, or kind of just I thought there was a way around it, or whatever. You have to use what's at your disposal. So always, if you built a relationship, and I don't think there's anything negative about it. Nepotism, yeah, it's very negative, but cronyism, it's not too bad. I don't think it's too negative. You have to use the friendships you made, relationships you built over the years, and that's what gets you in the door at a lot of places, because there's already an established level of trust. Like, people, at the end of the day, in everything, people want to trust people, and not for what they're saying. I think it's on a or more subconscious level. Like, we can stand in a room and we can not say anything, but you and I could look at each other and look at our body language and everything. We would kind of quickly realize if, okay, this guy's cool or maybe he's not cool, and we would understand each other. So I think that that's always a nice way of doing things, and that's what we try and focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% it is. You're leveraging relationships and trust, and that's the lowest hanging fruit, like tapping into your existing network of relationships and trust to grow initially before you need to be at the point where it's now thinking about growth and scale. So yeah, absolutely, totally agree. Yeah. Can you sort of define what your value proposition is right now? Like, tell me a little bit more about it, and what the messaging is.
So yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago, which is partnership. So our value proposition is our partnership, because the way we work is we establish a relationship with whoever our clients are, and our first step is to kind of understand, well, who they are and do they need, and what's their kind of growth trajectory. So where are they trying to go in the future? And understanding who their team is, how they work, how they operate, and building a partnership around that. And the reason I focused on the partnership word so heavily is because in 6 months' time, when that new client that we've spoken to, we've got to understand, we've built a level of connection and trust with, in 6 months' time, when they have a job coming up, or maybe they have 5 or 6 roles that are ready to go, we already understand who they are. We know exactly how their team works. We know exactly what they're working on and their product. And we know exactly the type of people to present to them to fill the positions that they're looking for. So it allows us to hire for people within 10 days. So we can get candidates, and that's probably one of our main value propositions. We can get candidates, maybe 2 or 3. We refine it down from our talent pool, down to 2 or 3 for your final approval. And we do that all in under 10 days.
Nice. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting that approach to partnerships, and it really is about building that trust and relationship, and being seen as a partner and acting like a partner to businesses, because that's it. Again, that totally comes back to you talking about trust and relationships, and a great way to position and be seen as valuable to your clients and customers or partners.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the goal over the next 6, 12 months, like in terms of growth?
6 to 12 months for growth. I think it would be easy to give monetary figures or any of that stuff, the typical, which isn't really the goal. At least it's not mine. Mine is to kind of create massive consistency in every area of the business, whether it's operational, sales, even the strategic side, and just getting everything really fine-tuned, which kind of brings us to a point where we can scale in whatever direction we want to go. We can either focus on niches, we can go broad, we can do whatever. And we are actively going through that right now, and that process is actually going quite well. But I think that is the key to our success, really refining everything that we have now, everything that we know, and getting it into a very manageable and consistent rhythm. So that I'm not sure if that fully answers your question.
No, it's interesting.
But that's where we want to be, I think.
That's interesting. Why is consistency? Is it to enable scale? Is that ultimately So it's not So everything doesn't feel like it's all over the place. Everything's going to break when you try to scale. It's bringing that structure, consistency into the business, so you can you are at a position to scale.
Yeah, completely. Because it's impossible to. I think even on your own personal level, it's really impossible to run things or even run your own life when it's chaotic. Like if you're doing, and we can boil it down to something really simple. Let's say you're doing laundry, right? Everyone has to do laundry, right? And you ideally, the best way you should do it is maybe you should do laundry like once or twice a week at a specific time. Okay, Wednesday night is laundry night, right? But lack of consistency means you're doing like half your laundry at 10 or 11 a.m. on a Monday morning, and then you're doing the rest of it at random times for the rest of the week. So it's completely distracting you from everything else you should be doing. It's completely pulling you out, and you're not even doing the laundry well. So I think that's on a personal level. I think creating that consistency there is very important, but it's the same thing. A company is just an extended version of yourself, and it's an extended version of all of the people you're kind of working on it with. So consistency is the main goal, and the reward for that is scale, in my opinion. And scale, obviously, then we all know where that takes you. So that's really the goal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting that you say that, because I totally resonate with that. And it is. I totally believe that, it's your business is it's an external reflection of your inner world as the especially as the founder. And yeah, I'm very, or I try to be very structured, consistent in my own personal life and routines. But yeah, it's interesting. My girlfriend thinks I'm a little bit autistic. She thinks I'm a bit crazy. She doesn't really get why I am like that. But it's all good. It's all fun and games.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
How do you kind of deal? Because obviously you're in a startup that is just naturally chaotic because things change fast. You've got to adapt. How do you kind of balance that structure, consistency with external circumstances that just aren't in your control?
That's a good question.
The reason I ask is because I deal with this myself on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not. I'd love to just. I think I'd love to just give you an answer and say it's black and white, but it's not. It's very circumstantial. I think, and this is actually one of my co-founders. Kind of lives by this, and he was the one who told me this. But kind of setting your priorities. There's a couple, maybe there's 2 or 3 main priorities you should probably have every week, and maybe those are the same. Those could be the same priorities for the next 6 months. I think those you need to have some sort of guiding light, and obviously, everyone has the guiding light of success and money and a business that works, but that's not a guarantee. It needs to be a guiding light of things that you need to work on. And I think when you have those, it allows you to structure your days, structure your time around those things, and everything else has to slot in and fit into that. But you'll be a bit more regimented with your time. And every time those guiding lights or things that you need to focus on change, you need to just stay on top of things and make sure that you don't go through a transition period where for the next 2 weeks you're just all over the place, because that's what I feel like happens. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you just have to make the time for yourself, and it's never easy. I think getting personal life balance as well is ridiculously hard, to a point I'm not sure if it exists. And it's something I think we all chase. So that's the other side. I think you do need to balance it out, but it needs to be a daily effort, not a live for the weekend kind of effort as well, or live for one day a week. Creating that balance there, it's not the easiest. I'm not sure if that answer kind of sums up anything.
Yeah. No, it does. It's I definitely. I mean, I agree. It's that. It's having your calendar in a situation where you've got the main things that need to get done, and if certain, like if the manager buffer tasks, they don't necessarily have to be. You can just schedule some time in for that, and that's like your sort of chaotic work in the day that is more ad hoc. But yeah, it's having sort of sacred set times around the big things, the big rocks that really move the needle, and then structuring everything else around that. And it's like you say, even your personal life is the same. It's that consistency around, reflecting as well is a huge thing. Like reflecting probably on a weekly basis, like what went right this week, what went wrong, what you can do better, like what's 2 or 3 changes you can make moving forward. So having that sort of weekly rhythm, cadence to reflect and optimize. And then it kind of comes back to what you said towards the start, which is almost just letting go of outcomes, because outcomes aren't in your control. So letting go of the attachment to the outcome reduces the stress around the need for things to go a certain way, and just being a little bit more okay. It's not going to happen this way. Let's adapt. Let's change. Be flexible, adaptable, but in a good energy, not in a stressed out, the energy that's just going to totally burn you out. So yeah, that's a part of it as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's always going to be things. I think you just have to be on top of everything all the time. I'm not sure how good even doing that is for you as a human being, because you become very analytical. But you have to stay on everything every week, every day that you get a chance to reflect. You got to use it, because it's not easy to be able to do when you're in this state. And just every little tactic. Like I got 2 phones 2 weeks ago. I separated everything because it was just, I need to be able. There's maybe certain times when I need to be able to just turn everything work off, at least for an hour, a couple hours, and that's been a game changer as well. So it just reducing the chaos, getting your mind free, because it's very hard to focus on things and actually do quality work if you're burnt out. And even on the burnout thing as well, I think with burnout, everyone has 1,000 different thoughts on burnout and what causes it and everything. And I've been burnt out before, heavily. And I think the thing I noticed about it was, you're only really burnt out when you're not doing what you should be doing, or you're not enjoying it anymore. And that's the only time. I've seen there's so many people you probably know that work ridiculously hard and do it for 5, 10, 20 years consistently. And you kind of look at them and you're going, okay, well, how are you doing that and I burnt out after a year or 2 years? It doesn't make any sense. But it's because whatever their incentive was, whether it be internal or external, it was working for them enough to keep them going. And I think that's one of the key signs. If there's not something that you're enjoying learning, or something you're enjoying trying to achieve, or anything, that's when you start risking burnout, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've experienced the exact same. It's for me, it was back end of last year. Like, I was burning out, feeling this burnout, and it was this weird sensation of just normal situations where I literally had to just go to bed for a week because I couldn't operate. Like, I had this weird anxiety going on, thinking about jumping on a meeting that I've done a certain meeting every week for 50 times, and I'm getting this weird anxiety and I couldn't explain it. It was just my nervous system was just totally wrecked and out of sorts. So it was really strange. I just had to just take a week off, totally chill, figure out what was going on. And it was I'd set a goal and I was like determined to achieve it, but it was the wrong goal. Like, I was going after something that it was my ego telling me to like achieve something, and I was out of alignment with like actually what I truly wanted to, do and achieve. And so that it was kind of the same, just out of alignment with, the energetically, or however you want to call it. Really interesting experience though.
Yeah, it's one that teaches you so much, because you so badly do not want to experience it again, that you learn your lesson the first time. I don't think it's very hard to get burnt out twice. And please God it is, because it was rough. But I think it's not the whatever it does to you, it's not good. It just completely destroys your body, completely destroys everything, your motivation, everything, your ability to function as a human being.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about, like sort of what your experience was and what happened, and is it similar to what happened to me? Is it worse? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, so we kind of, again, similar situation. I was working on with a couple of friends this crazy platform app idea that probably it had promise technically. Like, the technology was really cool, the idea was pretty cool, but we didn't really have we were young in thinking, and probably quite immature, and kind of similar to what you just said about the goals being wrong. It was the same. It was the egotistical goals, like, oh, this is going to be cool when everyone uses this app, and it's going to get a million people's hands, and then you're looking at metrics that don't even exist yet, like, oh, we need to have servers that can handle this many people, when you haven't even gone out and seen if a single person is interested yet. So it was kind of that situation. It was a purely founding team. I was doing the app and server-side development completely alone, no one else working on it. And it went on for probably a year and a half, and no traction, no traction, no traction. And it was just ridiculously long days. It was like 14-hour days consistently, no balance whatsoever. Like not going outside, not spending time with people, doing anything. So it was like, the way I would look at it is, it was like being in a prison cell but having VR goggles on that are telling you that you're not in a prison cell. But if you actually take maybe 5 minutes to think, you're like, oh wow, I've been in a prison cell for a year now. And that's once it got to that point of realizing that there was no traction, there was no nothing, there was a few other things going on, it killed all of us. It was bad, really bad. So it taught me a lot on what not to do. It taught me a lot about how it's very easy to fall into that trap. And I think you like, I'm sure for yourself as well now, you can kind of, because you know that goal that wasn't realistic caused your burnout, it's very easy to spot in maybe new founders or someone who hasn't started a company yet. You can spot the road they're going down. You can predict almost that they're going to be burnt out in a year. So it's quite incredible how much it affects you, to a point where you can pick it up in, it's almost like a training tool. You can pick up the mannerisms and people's language. Everything is an indicator now. So it's an amazing prediction tool to have. It's just a painful one to get.
Yeah, 100%. It's totally true. And, like you say, importantly as well, is like, you'll never go through that again, as long as you learn from the lessons. And it's, that since then I've felt it a little bit, but, not nowhere near. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to course correct, because I'm doing, there's certain things that I'm kind of doing again. So I need to just, get back on track. So that happens. And that's, really good because of the lessons that you learn. It's good, like, sort of guide rails to, just internally sense like things that are happening and get you back on track. So really interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's all about making micro pivots as much as possible. No major
For
pivots.
sure.
You have to throw everything out. Just constantly looking in the mirror, constantly looking at what you're doing, and just readjusting, course correcting all the time.
So what are the big differences now with what you're doing? I mean, to go through like, over a year of no traction and doing, crazy hours, no sleep for no traction, like no reward, that's tough, tough to go through. What's the difference now? Because you kind of said the same. You said like, sleep is always a challenge. You said before coming onto this podcast, you haven't had much sleep last night. So what's the difference now? Like the big difference?
I think the big difference is lack of stagnation, stagnancy. I don't know what the correct word is there. But if you look back at that experience where it was a year of doing the exact same thing every day, constantly, no improvement. Yeah, the product was improving, but the way we were building it and the way we were building the company wasn't improving whatsoever. It started out in a certain way, and then it just continued for a year. So I think what keeps me going now, despite how chaotic it still always is when you're working on something new, is every single day is maybe 5% different from the last day, or maybe a bit more. So by it's Tuesday today, by Tuesday next week, it's going to be a completely different experience again. I have no idea what I'll be working on next week. Who knows? Because we don't know what's going to work this week. So it's pretty exciting when you get to test out all of these options around the world, or all the tools or all the things that are available to you at your disposal, and you get to test yourself on skills in a high stakes environment all the time. Like it's pretty cool. Like if you look at a maybe someone coming up in sales, or they want to start doing sales, they maybe have to work their way up to a position where they can start selling a product to C-suite executives. And I'm blessed enough to be in a position where I can pick up the phone and do the same thing without having to go down that path. So I don't take that for granted. I'm very excited about being able to learn these new skills and put them into action every single day. And I don't want them to kind of slip by without me having done it, because obviously everything changes so quickly that I might not get a chance, or it might not be necessary in 2 or 3 weeks or a month or 6 months. So that's kind of what keeps you going, and keeping the goals realistic. You have to live, you have to eat, you have to feed yourself. It's not about ego, it's not about anything. You need to pull in a little bit of money to cover yourself and have a reasonably good life when you're working hard. So aligning with that, and not trying to play the young founders game of, oh, we don't need money and we're going to build this unicorn. No, realism. That's kind of what keeps me going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, really fascinating. Where do you see the role of like remote tech talent heading over the next few years? Because things are fast changing right now when it comes to technology, and where do you kind of see it heading?
Few years. If you said a few years, unless I can get into what's his name, Sam Altman's brain somehow, I'm not sure. At OpenAI, but look, I think over the next couple of years, the demand for more senior um, engineers and design leads and everything like that is going to actually increase. The reason I think so is because obviously AI is the buzzword right now. It's getting massive traction. All of these companies are kind of going through Y Combinator, and everything's just AI focused right now. Um, but what it's doing is it's allowing the average Joe, or just average person, to suddenly take an idea and build it into a product. But while that's great, it comes with its costs. There's huge. I'm not sure if you've looked into that space at all, but there's huge issues going on with, I forget the name of the no code building tool now.
Cursor.
Cursor, that's the one. Did you
Mm-hmm.
see all the vulnerability issues with that?
I heard stuff around. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. I heard stuff around like using MCPs and Cursor and creating vulnerabilities around that. But yeah, I'm not fully sure.
Yeah, no, same kind of topic there, because I think what it's done is allowed junior engineers who don't have maybe enough foundational knowledge of architectures and systems to suddenly create these full platforms within a week instead of 6 months or a year. And because of that, you're getting something that looks beautiful. It actually kind of works, uh, but there's one vulnerability in there that's either going to leak all the data to everyone, it's going to cost thousands of dollars in server bills, and maybe the other one is, and which I've seen, is API keys being put out into public repos and stuff like that. So I think what it's doing is it's getting rid of the junior engineer or inexperienced engineer. It's going to replace that, and it's going to allow the more experienced ones and senior ones to kind of 10x their output. Because at the end of the day, it's really just an assistant
Yeah.
at the moment. Who knows where it's going to go in the next couple of years? But right now, it's an assistant to the senior engineers. So I think they're going to be still in demand, if not in more demand than ever, purely because the amount of people who are suddenly getting into this space. So it's positive right now. I think it's quite positive for everyone right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. So like I use Cursor, but I don't use it for development as such. But because I'm a marketer, like marketing and sales, and it's like the workflows, even bringing Cursor into my workflows. And I'm not technical, but it helps like massively. It helps you be way more creative, like put ideas together, speed up workflows. So it's crazy. But like as you say, you've got to be careful if you don't know what you're doing, like going and developing tools and apps and stuff that could cause vulnerabilities for sure.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing with everything. Like I think we all take it for granted, because I struggle to contemplate or think about how difficult what we're doing right now would be if we weren't living in this kind of era of AI, because it's used constantly for everything. They even down to the smallest things like data validation and cleaning up data. Like it's incredible to have it, but you still always need the foundational knowledge and fundamentals, and everyone is always going to pay to find someone they trust to tell them that knowledge. So we all do it. We all like going to someone who we believe is an expert and actually understands it, and whatever they say, we actually take them for their word. It's very hard to trust someone who's not. So
Yeah.
I don't think that changes things. We're all humans still. As long as we stay human, I think we're going to want to work with other humans, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's actually really powerful messaging as well. Like obviously everyone's interested in AI to help speed things up, make things better, but there's also this increasing need for that human, the human centric side of things. Like so there's sort of an increasing demand around the human side, but also it's just about having AI in the right places of workflows and outputs and what have you. It's just fine. We're all navigating that balance, and in every sort of, especially digital, work, job, what have you.
Yeah.
But it's exciting time as a founder, as an entrepreneur, with all the things that you can speed up, have in place, get together, like ideate over. It's super exciting times.
Very, very.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
What excites you most right now? Everything that you're working on. What's the most exciting thing that you've got going on right now?
It probably relates back to what we were just saying, to be honest, which is everyone's building stuff right now. The access, because of these tools on the market, the access to building some great products and the speed that you can put them out is insane. So we're living really in a golden age for product development, and I think that really excites me, being able to work with so many new founders, so many new companies, trying to bring ideas to the table and things to kind of hopefully make our lives better, with the access, or just because of the access to all of these AI tools and the age we're living in. So it's very exciting to be able to work with all these people now, coming maybe people who didn't just have the resources to do this before, and now suddenly, because of AI, we're living in this age where they can. It was impossible before, but they have everything at their disposal now.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I totally agree. That's what I'm most excited about right now. Even as a non-technical like business owner, even just the stuff that you can do in marketing and sales and growth, and then having that, being able to consult with high level people that can, that understand the technical side, and then back and forth, like create minimum viable stuff like super fast, and then take that to the next level with somebody that actually knows what they're doing. That kind of thing. It's like 0 to 1. It's really cool, really exciting. It's also, you've got to navigate like that balance between shiny object syndrome as well, and like actually remaining focused and like focused on your path. Like that's always a challenge as well, and you get this like FOMO kicks in sometimes when you're like, man, am I missing out on an opportunity? So that's an interesting balance to navigate as well.
Yeah, that one, that one I struggle with as well. I never, I've been in that situation too many times, and then you do five things bad instead of one thing well. Uh,
Mm,
I like trying. I'm not saying I'm doing it right now because I wish I was. But I do like working on one thing solely.
mm,
That's peace to me. Uh,
mm.
but at the same
Same.
time, it's not reality. It like
Mm,
sometimes you just have to, and sometimes you're crazy if you're maybe just certain opportunities that just go hand in hand. It is going to kill you a little bit more. It's going to really strain you, but it's worth it. Why not?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. It's I love going super deep on a certain project that I'm really excited about and just focusing on that one thing. But yeah, that's always challenging to do when you're trying to run a business and you've got so much other things going on.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, super interesting. Really appreciate your insights, Ben-Anthony. What if you could leave one piece of advice for other founders, maybe entering the same sort of tech talent space as you, what would it be?
I think the biggest one right now, this probably has changed so many times. My answer always changes on this when I think to myself of kind of what I would look back on and give myself advice on. I think the biggest one for me right now is just don't get emotional about anything. Don't get emotionally attached to anything you're working on. Um, and that doesn't mean remove yourself from it to a point where you just have no care about the product or the value of what you're putting out. It just means remove the attachment to the outcome so you can course correct constantly and pivot
Mm,
constantly because it's the only way it works and it's the only way you don't get burnt out and it's the only way you actually kind of achieve a result that's realistic because it's impossible to predict if you start an idea today. It's impossible to predict that that idea or that product that you've invented today is going to be perfect for the market in a year's time when it's built. It's not going to look like that. There's going to be so many corrections along that path that you need to take. And if you're too emotionally attached to that one outcome, well, all you're doing is just trading in a year of your life and effort for nothing. So
mm,
I think that's the biggest one right now. And what that allows you to do is take action quickly, and that's the biggest one. That's kind of what got me going on what we're doing now at MyDevConnect. Everything, even when there was nothing to do, I was just doing stuff. I was taking
mm,
action. There was always, if there was 5 minutes, there was someone to call, there was something to do, and that worked really well at the start to build massive momentum. And yeah, I had to tone it down a little bit over time because it's not maintainable. Um, but I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, solid advice. Solid advice. Really appreciate this conversation, Ben Anthony. Like I said, I'm thankful for your insights. It's always interesting to hear, like things that I resonate with a lot as well with like your experiences. So yeah, really appreciate it. Where can people find out more about you online?
So you can find us on LinkedIn under MyDevConnect, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well under my name, Ben-Anthony Donnelly. And then you can also find our website, MyDevConnect.com. I think that should be all the socials as far as I'm aware. Yeah, so that's probably everything. Yeah.
Awesome, and I'll put links in the description below as well. And yeah, thanks again. Thanks so much for coming on, and I'll be watching your growth and the growth of MyDevConnect with some great interest.
No, appreciate it, James. We'll do this again sometime. Hopefully, we can we could do this maybe in 6 months or a year, and there's big changes by then. So it'll be
Sounds
cool.
good.
But appreciate your time. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.